Hi, my name is Lindsay Buck, and I am one of the artists that participated in the Minnesota Parks Artist in Residency program for the 2024 to 2025 program year. During my year embedded with the parks, I developed a project called the Heartland Interpretive Trail, which spans two parks in central Minnesota. These are the Robert Ney Regional Park in Wright County, as well as the Two Inlets at Bdé Heháka, Omashkooz Zaaga'igaans Regional Park in Sherburne County. Before I start, I'd like to thank all of the different organizations that came together to make this program a reality. I'd also like to acknowledge the partners who made my specific project possible. This includes the artist Arabella Howell, who designed the Dakota floral logo for the project, as well as many of the graphics in the mobile phone app. I'd also like to thank the many knowledge holders who gave both time and expertise to advise on the cultural and language components of this project. This includes representatives from the Upper Sioux Community, the Lower Sioux Indian Community, as well as the Mille band of Ojibwe. My goal for the residency was to create a project that could connect both of my parks into a single project that highlighted the cultural significance of the central Minnesota landscape. The Heartland Interpretive Trail weaves together the complex historical, cultural, and environmental narratives of the landscape by presenting the stories of the plants, animals, and people who call it home. I chose the name Heartland to show that our connection to this landscape is not singular. It's not a singular plant or a singular purpose, but instead it's a compilation of the water, the soil, the plants, animals, and people to create a beating heart which sustains life for one another. In creating a concept for this trail, we wanted to ensure that the landscape remained the main visual experience for the park visitor. We didn't want this experience to be blocked by large interpretive signs, but we wanted to present a lot of information. So the solution we settled on was a series of small trail signs that start to hint at some of these narratives. But when you scan the QR code, it brings you to a mobile phone app from which you can dive further into these stories. Here's an example of one of these trail signs in the prairie at Two Inlets, as well as along the Pond Loop Trail at Robert Ney Regional Park. If you choose to visit the Heartland Trail at either park, you'll be greeted by a trailhead sign, each of which has a map that show where the markers are located along the trail. There are also instructions for downloading and using the app. Once you have the app, you're able to access the maps, plant profiles, and games that start to explain the connections between these stories. Within the app itself, you can visit the page for each park. Again, the map will be here digitized, and you can see where each trail marker is located. Besides park maps, you can also access a series of regional maps, many of which talk about the language and cultural connections to the region. The plant profiles can be accessed in the app or through scanning the QR codes. For each species, there's plant identification information, information on the plant communities where they are found, a section on language that has the Dakota and Ojibwe names for the plants, and a discussion about what these names mean for the cultural significance. In botanical gifts, we talk about the contributions of each plant to food, medicine, creation, and wildlife. And in land connections, we explore some of the specific associations of each plant to the wildlife. If you'd like to play games, there is a scavenger hunt for each park, in which you not only need to scan the QR code for each plant, but identify the proper wildlife association. There's also a cross-park game in which you need to scan QR codes from both parks to complete the image. In addition to collecting puzzle pieces, you'll also collect medallions, which connect each plant to the seasons and the 13 moons of the lunar year. Most importantly, this project was about building relationships between parks and the tribal nations and acknowledging that all parkland is originally native land. We sought ways to elevate Indigenous languages and the work of contemporary Indigenous artists in these landscapes, and had discussions about how we could find further opportunities and direction for partnerships that can honor Native voices and issues in the landscape and in these parks. The app is free to download. The trails are free and open to the public, so you can visit anytime during park hours. There's many of the app features, including the maps and plant profiles, that can be accessed from anywhere in case you are not able to visit the parks in person, and we encourage you to do so. Again, thank you to the many people and many organizations that made this project a possibility. I hope that this project can be an asset for park visitors and that it can help enhance your connection to these park landscapes through a greater understanding of these stories. Thank you.